Hello and welcome you all in YouTube channel of TMPS Group of Schools. Today in our history class, we are going to start a new chapter, that is nationalism in India. In this session, we will also discuss some factors which are responsible for the rise in nationalism in India in the early phases of 19th century. And we'll move towards the second half of the 19th century, which are also responsible for the later development in the new folds of ideology in Indian minds. Before going towards the chapter, we have the word nationalism, which is also known as Rashtravad. It means, the term nationalism means patriotism or the love for one's own country. Actually, it is the feeling of patriotism, feeling of the desired love for its own country, where the people intellectually involved for their own liberty and further development for the nations also. So, the nationalism, or we can say the true nationalism in which the person loves his country and always ready to give sacrifices to attain the freedom or liberty. From the beginning of this idea, the various liberative leaders, and we can say the various political frameworks or associations, were also developed in the second half of the 19th century. We will discuss it later in this chapter. So basically this session involves the factors which are responsible in the rise of nationalism. Now, by introducing before the factors the nationalism in early 19th century, we have already learned the revolt of 1857, which was totally suppressed by Britishers to its extent. But when we talk about the consequences of 1857 revolt, we will find that it arouses the feeling of patriotism, it arouses the new feeling for their country in the hearts of the peoples who are living in India. Some small extended movements was also took place after 1857, that is Indigo Revolt, we can say, or the Indigo Revolt, or a movement within the period of 1859 to 1861. That is the revolt of Indigo Revolution, we can say, the Indigo Revolt, which was performed or initiated in Bengal. Santhal Uprising in 1871 to 1872, and later on Kuka movement, which belongs to Punjab. But these movements, yes, of course, they are very crucial for rising the nationalism in India. But because all these movements were confined to a very small extent, so only some sections of the society of Indians were involved in this movement. So we can't say that these movements were totally failure, but because these movements were not practiced with systematical way, so we can also say that could be not much profitable for the nationalism in India. But in the second half of 19th century, we will find that a systematic approach by rising the nationalism in India arose in the hearts of people who were living by the domination, or we can say by the introduction of the Western education policy or a system in India. So let us talk about what are the responsible factors which led to the growth in nationalism in India. By introducing the very first factors, one of them is the influence of Western education. Yes, look, before the advent of Britishers in India, the peoples of India were engaged to attain the traditional knowledge, means the knowledge or education which belongs to the affairs of its private, means the whole knowledge is developed in the hearts or the mind of the people who only belongs to the traditional one and about the private affairs. But now the duty, it was considered that it was not the duty of the state to establish the various schools and educational institutions for their peoples. During that period of time, the Britishers also not considered the education should be promoted in India. But later on, because of the introduction of Western educational system in India, Britishers started the Western languages to be learned or the peoples of India to be educated. In this Western education, the various philosophers, the Western philosophers has took their ideas and to be considered in its curriculum or pattern of syllabus in the books which were introduced in India, which are totally dependent on English language initially in the starting period of introduction of this Western education. In the beginning of this education policy was only belongs or depends on the English language. One question is, why the Britishers want to educate Indians in a Western type of education? We can say the answer is they want the help in their administrative works. The peoples who work in very low salary, low wages for them, and they will provide the education, the Western education to the Indian peoples to take help, like in clerical job they will provide it. They will provide the clerical job to the Indians such that they will efficiently work in their administrative affairs. So that was the reason why they have introduced the Western education. But it was thought by the Britishers, but also it has the other dimensions as well. From the history of England, because the peoples of India were now started to introduce or interacted with the thoughts and theories of Western philosophers. So from the history of England, Indians were capable to know how the king or the ruler could be deposed. I am going to take the example that James II has been deposed in 1688 in England. So how it could be possible, they were eager to know. And from the history of England, it is possible for them, means for Indians, they will able to know that how would the king will be deposed. Not only that, from the American War of Independence, which was held between 1775 to 1783, they were also capable to know that how the British power to be removed from America. Not only that one, we have the other example, the French Revolution. From this they have taken the concept, the idea of equality, liberty and fraternity. It was only possible because of the introduction of Western education. They are capable to know how the Western philosophers thought, how the Western philosophers now thinking. So they are attaining the knowledge of socio-economical, philosophical, political, administrative. So all the knowledge or education could be attained by the Indians because of this influence of Western educational system in India. Now, many young Indians went to England to take education or for the other purposes. During that period of their stay, they were capable to know that how efficiently the parliamentary type of system, that democratic type of system efficiently working in that countries. So they have developed the new thought and ideas, the spirit of new knowledge, which will be applicable in their own nationalism, for their own patriotism. And whenever they will came back to India, they want to initiate all these knowledge, all that knowledges or education that they have developed when they were in England. So this was the influence of Western education system in India. Now the second factor which can be concluded is the very important, that is the development of press. Development of press. It was the very chief instrument through which the nationalist-minded peoples spread their social, political, philosophical ideas to exchange all these ideas to the other person who are living in a very extent part of India. Yes, because of this press. Press means the various newspapers, the magazines, the dailies, and the weekly magazines, monthly magazines were published because of the development of press. It initiated that these nationalists will also able to interact with the peoples through their ideas, means it would be provided as a medium through which they can exchange their views, the political, administration, social, all these factors were influentially interacted with or exchanging their ideas with the other peoples. In the second half of the 19th century, the various newspapers were published. So these nationalists urged to the other peoples who are living in India to go for their freedom, for their liberty, because yes, the humiliation was there. The Indian peoples were humiliated by the British East India Company or the Britishers government. So now they were going to criticize from these newspapers for their magazines, the local published newspapers or magazines, and already they have developed because of the introduction of the Western knowledge or education in India. They started, means the Indians started think very westerly, in a very philosophical way. Some of the name which was computed while the development of press was Raja Ram Mohan Roy. He has published Samvad Kaumudi. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Samvad Kaumudi. Samvad Kaumudi. Basically, it was the Bengali magazine. And through this, he has criticized the policies of the Britishers, because the Britishers were exercising their control on a press in a vernacular languages or the vernacular press. So through this Samvad Kaumudi, which was developed or published in 1821, he criticized the policy of Britishers, though they were not able to control over the press. The second name we have Dada Bhai Nauroji. Dada Bhai Nauroji has developed or published a newspaper that was called Rast Guftar. Rast Guftar, which was in Gujarati language. And the third name is Ishwar Chandra Vidya Sagar. He published the daily Som Prakash also in the Bengali language. And we all know the Banga Darshan, which was published or edited by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. So all these Western philosophers, Indian Western philosophers, because they are Indian but they are thinking in a Western style like a Western philosophers were thinking. They wanted to promote the Western education because some socio-religious practices were going in India in a very hypothetical and orthodoxy-like condition. So they want to promote the Western education and criticized the orthodox Indian rituals which was practiced since the very last decade of times. The Sati system, Widow Remarriage Act. They also worked for the development and the upliftment of the women. They also promoted the education of women to be promoted. And during the Sepoy Mutiny, some other literary sources were also available which provided by this press during the Sepoy Mutiny in 1857. The most influential paper in Bengal was the Hindu Patriot. The Hindu Patriot. It was published during 1857 revolt. 1857 revolt, which was edited by Harish Chandra Mukherjee. This Hindu Patriot in 1857 was edited or published by Harish Chandra Mukherjee. The second name by this development of press was Amrit Bazar Patrika, which was published by Shishir Kumar Ghosh. And the other English newspapers, look what we have, these newspapers or the magazines were introduced in the vernacular languages, means the local languages they were publishing. But now also some were the newspapers which was edited in English language also, and that was the Times of India in 1861. The Times of India in 1861. The second newspaper, the Pioneer in 1865. Pioneer in 1865. And the third one is Statesman, which was published in 1875. So these are the three English newspapers which was published in English language, and through this English language paper they were provided the very much interactive ideology to the other peoples who are living in India in a Western way. So peoples who are started to think Westerly. They are capable to know what was going in world. They have set their parameters in the political, the religious and administration and economical way. So means they were started thinking in a different dominations by taking the Western educational in a center figure. The third cause or the factor we will have the role of new middle class. Role of middle class. Look, basically, socially and economically, the class were divided into the three forms. We can categorize during that period of time in 19th century. The upper class belongs to the British officials and the noble persons. The second was the middle class, and the third was the lower class of the people were the artisans, the craft persons, the peasants, the cultivators. So this class belongs to the lawyer, the teachers, the merchants, the rich merchants. So they have much played a very eminent or efficient role while initiating the new thoughts of liberty, means the patriotism, or we can say the nationalism. The middle class closely connected with the consolidation of the British administration. What I have said, they has considered and consolidated the British administration because they are performing their duty for the Britishers. By attaining the Western education, what we have discussed is that Britishers introduced the Western educational system in India, and by that system they have started to educate Indians in a Western way because they want the clerks in a very low salary. They want the recruiters for the very low salary such that they could be able to work for the Britishers and will help in their administrative affairs. So because this class engaged with the various lawyers, the public prosecutors, the teachers, the helpers and the merchants, small merchants, because they are doing the government services for the Britishers. But soon they have realized that Britishers were only using them as a resources for their own development. none of the development would be initiated for the betterment of Indians. In the very started, they become aware of the fact that Britishers' rule was an obstacle in their socio-economical development. They will not get their freedom because they are pursuing the job for the Britishers, for the upliftment only or for the Britishers, but there would be no profit for Indians. And this British rule could be upthrown from India, and they have joined the various movements performed in the second phase or the Gandhian phase. So middle class played a very important role while initiating the nationalism in India. The fourth cause is all the economical causes. Economical causes. Economical causes means the economical exploitation of India. So the very first column or point we can compute it, the suffering of peasants. The suffering of peasants. Look, because of the introduction of Rayotwari, Mahalwari and permanent settlement, just like away the Jamidari system, under which all of the land of these peasants were under the direct control of Jamidars, means these peasants were producing the crop, the surplus crop were producing, but they get the very small amount for that. Heavy duty taxes were levied on these peasants. Forcefully, these moneylenders, these Jamidars who are working for the Britishers, they will take and collect the revenue, the land revenue from these peasants and depreciating and exploiting these peasants. And the peasants only have to pay the tax. By doing so, the peasants have to take the loan from moneylenders, and moneylenders also taking profit from them by levied the heavy tax or heavy rate of interest while providing the loan to them. So there is a total depreciation of the peasants. They were humiliated from the Britishers as well as their own countrysides, the people, the Jamidars, and from the moneylenders. The second cause was the deterioration of handicraft. Deterioration of handicrafts. Because of the industrial development or the industrial revolution took place in England or European countries, there was a demand of the raw material to process this raw material into a finished good. So because Indian handicraft person didn't compete it with the very finest machinery, devices or a system which was installed in the factories or industries in Europe, so there would be a depreciation, the total loss, because the theory of free trade was introduced by the Britishers, because to attain the maximum or to take the maximum profit from the trade established with India and Britishers. Means the Indian goods, Indian raw material which was exported, or we can say which was going in Britishers or the European countries, they have to pay the large or high tax on it. But when the finished product was manufactured from that European countries and then it will come to India, there would be no interest levied, no tax levied on that British products. So means they are getting the raw material in very low amount and they were selling their finished product in Indian markets in a huge extent with a very high profit. So that was total loss of these handicraft person. Indian cottage industry and handicraft industry, textile industry was failed because of the introduction of machinery in European countries and Indians were only dependent on their hands to manufacture the good. It will take much time, and that is why they were going to much. So the third is the educated Indians dissatisfaction, or we can say the dissatisfaction of Indians, educated Indians. Dissatisfaction of educated Indians. Look, the educated youth of India wants the recruitment, wants the job in the government services, but the higher post of the higher jobs only reserved for the European peoples. So what about these educated Indians? They were going dissatisfied because they have attained the Western knowledge, they are educated, but they are not getting a job in the British administration in a high post. Because of this, the Europeans get the high job or a high security of the job, while the Indians did nothing. Indians haven't got any much profit from this. And the fourth cause under this was the public welfare was totally neglected, and the Britishers did not capable, yeah, we can say they haven't did anything for the welfare or the upliftment of the peoples. Various famines, various natural calamities were also observed, but Britishers did nothing for that. In the agriculture system, they didn't provided the system of irrigation during drought. So there was mismanagement, and because of this economical exploitation, they were only extending their military powers. They were extending their industrial powers for their own profit. They did nothing for the welfare of the Indian peoples. So these were the causes under the economical one. Now the next cause is the modern means of communication and transportation. To interact the people who are living from one side of the people to the other side of the people, the communication is required. Of course, the Britishers were for their own interest. Only for their own interest, they have established the railway track. They have established the telegram system. Why? To work efficiently in their administrative work, in their administrative affairs. But this development of communication and transport were also profitable for Indians. They have started to interact with the other peoples. They are exchanging their ideas. The very first railway was introduced on 16th of April 1853 by Lord Dalhousie from Mumbai. Between Mumbai and Thane there was 34 kilometers of distance, which was tracked by the British official Lord Dalhousie in 1853, 16th of April. This was boon for Indians also, because the Indians were started to travel from one place to another, and while traveling they were exchanging their ideas, and probably this will raise the feeling of nationalism because they are capable to exchange their ideas. So they have interacted, they are communicating with the other peoples in their languages. And also because the press was developed, it was very easy to transport these press material, these magazines and newspapers in a very short duration of time. And the Indians, suppose a magazine which was published in Bengal was read by the people who are living in Delhi, who are living in Madras. So means that is the better mode of communication which was developed by this introduction of transport and communication. Means it will take a very short period of time. While exchanging their ideas, they are capable to exchange their ideas and ideology and formulated it into their patriotism, and they were loyal towards their nationalistic feeling. So basically, dear student, it was the very first part of this nationalism in India. In our upcoming class, we will be able to also interact with and will discuss the religious movements were take place by the different philosophers of India, and also how the development or how the foundation of Congress was established, and what was the main reason to why to formulate Congress. So this is all about today's session, and we'll come back with a new video. Till then, take care and bye bye.